Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And first of all, I know I've been putting off what if Naruto became the god of lightning, but don't worry, it'll be out soon guys. I'm still tweaking a few things, so don't worry about that. But today I'm going to be giving you part 6 of what if Naruto was told about the Uzumaki Clan from the beginning. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way over Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. Yes, you heard that correctly if you're new. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So after you guys click that red subscribe button, go ahead and turn on that bell notification, see exactly when I post. And thank you all for your help and your support. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode start? The intro. So the last time we left off, Naruto was currently in Kumo, as he was here to test himself against Yujito. She simply shrugged as, facing off against another tail beast, she hasn't done that except for B. And hearing that Naruto could not control his full power, she didn't believe that he could defeat B. After all, B had full control, he was a perfect Jinchuriki. And the both of them started the battle. It started out soft until their hits started to get a lot harder. As they started to change the terrain around them, their battle got more intense as it didn't seem like either of them were about to slow down at the moment. As they started to clash each other to literally cause brutal pain. After all, Naruto told her not to hold back the thrill of knowing that someone is coming to take his life. That is the only time that he pushed himself, so she should not hold back, and she did not, as she started to tap into Nibi's power because she realized in her current state she could not defeat him. Yes, she could not. As the both of them started to intensify the battle, it was then that Naruto got knocked down. He exploded out of the hole as he had 4 tails behind him, his skin changing as he took the second form of the fox. As he started to form a Bijou bomb, she raised her hand stopping him. As that was a bit too chaotic, he released it up in the air and the explosion was massive. But people in Kumo weren't so worried. After all, they knew where Yujito trained, and they knew the destructive power that she possessed. As seeing that they called it off, Naruto wondered who won, but they decided to compromise. So Naruto was going to take her out and date around the village, as she agreed only for her friend Samui could come along. As Naruto simply shrugged, he didn't mind. Time passed after that as both Naruto and Jiraiya made their way. Jiraiya was keep on questioning Naruto if the Uzumaki were to come now, would he go with them, as Naruto told him no. Jiraiya was relieved about that. The both of them went towards the hidden stone. Only he had sent some people there, and what happened to them was rather, well, gruesome if anyone might say. So Jiraiya went there, along with Naruto as well, as they stepped into the village making their way towards the tower. They arrived. Oniki was rather adamant about not caring about what the Uzumakis were capable of, as Kurosaki came in and dragged out Naruto as Oniki asked what the hell was that about. Jiraiya simply played it off, but Oniki was rather serious, as Jiraiya told the man that if he go up against Uzu and they're not trying to cause anything, Konoha will have to intervene. But Oniki didn't seem to care. After all, Konoha lost so much, their 4 Tokage, their military strength, so Oniki did not fear them. He'd tell Jiraiya anyone standing in his way will be crushed. The man was making it clear he did not fear none of them. As Kurosaki was quite pissed, as she had woken up she thought that Naruto did something when she got drunk, but he did nothing, and he just left her there. Well, she didn't want him to do anything, but still, as Naruto apologized for that. After all, she was doing the same thing, trying to get information out of him. And he thought they could at least be friends, but he didn't think that to work out. As he started to walk away, she stopped him. Perhaps they could, she hadn't decided yet. Meanwhile, Akira, Haku, and Gorin arrived. As they spoke to me about some mutual benefits. But May wanted to see this emperor. She wanted to know who the emperor was because no one has ever seen him. And he was the one said to be bringing back those Uzumakis together. Yes. But she wouldn't agree to anything until she had a proper talk. So yeah guys, so it's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across, so please check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Jiraiya was stomping out of the hidden stone, looking quite pissed off. After all, the meeting wasn't really pleasant with the Tishikage. He waited until he could no longer see the hidden stone. I really need to find a tone and just sit back with alcohol beside me, he said. Now sensei, you really don't want alcohol to be the tonic of your problem, said Naruto. Jiraiya glared at him and snorted. Says the brat that consume alcohol like it is water. Worse, you drink alone while sitting in a dark little corner. Well, I don't do it to forget about problems, said Naruto. Jiraiya shrugged. The fact is you drink. You should not be telling me to stop. As he eyed Naruto, and I doubt your reason is truthful. Said Naruto looking shocked. You no doubt my word, sensei. We really need to sit together for a soul-searching mission to make sure we get this mistrust out of the way. And you'll probably be struggling all the way, Jiraiya said. As Naruto thought about it, you're probably right. I guess things didn't go well. Not as bad, but it could be, Jiraiya said in a serious tone. How bad? Naruto asked. I knew he was a stubborn old man, but I didn't think that he was this stubborn. He wouldn't listen to a word I say. It was difficult getting a message across that thick head of his. You should have seen him, Naruto. If I hadn't been firm, you'd have to worry about your clan. He says if he determined that Uzu is a threat, he's going to destroy it. He wouldn't listen, and he has a narrow definition of what a threat is. Naruto looked thoughtful for a moment before shaking his head. People can disappoint you sometimes, sensei. You cannot always predict their movements. They are troublesome. Yeah, said Jiraiya. He is willing to even wage war against Konoha if it defends Uzu. He even brought up the last war. A war is not what we want. But the hidden stone seemed to be more than willing to drag us into another one. Naruto could not understand the mentality behind that reasoning. It was rather stupid. His people will also die. Doesn't matter who came out on top, everyone will lose. That was nothing more than perverted thirst for destruction. Konoha could not go at a war with the hidden stone. The leaf was powerful, but an all-out war with the hidden stone will leave it weakened. Not to mention villages will try to take advantage of the situation. And the stone has been rebuilding since the last war, and it has 2 full experienced Jinchurikis. That is indeed a troublesome situation, said Naruto, snapping. We'll be left fuming over this decision. Jiraiya nodded, but at least I got him to chill until Konoha has developed some contact with Uzu. It will still be difficult to tell if he will keep his word. Well, shinobis are liars, said Naruto. Agreement signed can always be ripped apart, and that's the thing that is wrong in this world. I wonder when it would change. People do what they can without suffering consequences. It was a free world after all. The strong was on top, the weak had to look away to avoid destruction. Naruto shook his head. He wasn't the one to speak about emotions. Perhaps I might join you for that drink, sensei, he said. And we can talk about this. Jiraiya grunted. How did things go at your side? Not bad, but that woman is willing to stab friends in the back for the sake of pushing forward the hidden stone agenda. However, the human emotion is something curious. Because of emotional attachment, there are some things you really can't do. And even if you try to do them, there is hesitation. That moment can save a life. And it is rather easy to come to agreement with someone that you're emotionally attached to, especially if it's a case of war, and you both want to survive. Jiraiya could not fault Naruto's words. Those are the very same words that could avoid them starting some kind of war. Is that the same attitude you take with Temari? He asked. Naruto shook his head. Temari is an honest person that would not stab a friend in the back. To be quite honest, I did enjoy my time around her, he said in a calm tone. That was a reality he had to face, although he didn't want to get too attached because of his own associations. To miss the opportunity to be friends with someone wouldn't be pleasant. He was a friend to her brother, but not to her. Was he? He shook his head. He will see what happened the next time he see her. Jiraiya smiled. You know, it is not wrong to fall in love sometimes. You're still young. You can fall in love, get married, have children. I would certainly not want you close to my children, said Naruto. Especially if I have a daughter. You would already be measuring how much of a beauty she would be in the future. You really wound me, Naruto, said Jiraiya, with a hurt look on his face. Have you no faith in your sensei? Well, when you start acting like you can be trusted, maybe, I'll have some faith in you. You're talking about me. What of you, sensei? You can still love. Is your heart so wrapped around his chest that you cannot look elsewhere? Jiraiya frowned. It isn't hurt, he said. Regrets. What a miserable man you are, sensei, said Naruto. He then smiled. Well, we're both miserable, for different reasons. Perhaps this is the reason why we're able to get along. A sadist will always find comfort in another sadist. Meanwhile, on the sea, the ship was going back to Uzu. Haku was on the deck. He had seen his former home. Perhaps if he had been born in this time, it would have been better. It was so peaceful, so calm now. Completely different from when he was younger. He did wonder though, would Uzu end up fighting Kiri over the past? He really hoped not. Kiri was peaceful now. It has already seen too much bloodshed. And the Mizukage seemed like a good person. No, she was a good person. Haku was certain that the Emperor would like her. But when would they meet? You're gonna end up falling over the sea, Gurren says. He walked up to Haku. Did things not go well? It took a couple of moments as he turned. It went well, he said. Then why do you look so gloomy? Are you thinking I'm being a shinobi of the mist? Haku shook his head. Death will separate me from my master. Just thinking about things. If we're gonna get anything done, Uzu will have to sign the agreement. I understand the village want to keep its door closed, Gurren said. But it is in the past. There is that, Haku said. But what do you think will happen when we open our doors to Kira? Gurren thought about it for a couple of minutes. Before she frowned. She worked with security. She should know. It increased the chance of spies getting into our nation. She almost laughed. She just called Uzu her home. When did she start to think about it like that? Well, she wasn't complaining. She was having fun being there. That is something we don't want, not now, Haku said. Can't we do things without opening gates? Asked Gurren. We can, but the Mizukage is insisting on a couple of things. Some terms that she wants us to agree to before signing the agreement. How did things go on your end? Haku asked. Nothing much gained, Gurren said. I will need to send someone there to get into it deeper. She wasn't that concerned that she didn't get as much as she wanted. What does the Mizukage want anyway? She wants to see His Majesty. I don't think she will get it. Yoshino can pretend to be him and get things signed. Why doesn't the Emperor just meet the Mizukage himself? Asked Gurren. You must know that the Majesty isn't always present in Uzu, said Haku. Gurren nodded. She had concluded that already. But that just left so many questions about him open. She still didn't know anything about him. And because no one knows him, Yoshino could play the Majesty. Yes. Meanwhile, at the San, things were difficult. He was Kazekage. No one said it would be easy, but Gaara was steering the ship. He was doing his best, and he would get San back to the right path. He will get his village back up there. Gaara glanced towards his sister, who entered the office. She was his help. She spent time with him, helping him do things he could not, because he was busy with something else. He didn't have a lot of people that he could trust around here. So she was doing more work than he would like her to do. But she seemed happy to do it, nevertheless. It has only been a couple of months and people are possibly planning to kill me, Gaara said. Not long ago, some people had killed out the idea of killing him, because it seemed impossible. Many had tried in the past, but they died. But they were not going to try to assassinate him this time. It would not work out. But they were coming to another plan that would possibly work. If the opponent was strong enough, he would be killed. Yet Gaara had cautioned Baki against hanging those people who want to cause treason. He didn't want his rule to be covered by bloodshed. He will find a way to deal with this. He just have to survive it. Then again, the people were not succeeding, and he already had someone watching them. He did have shinobis who were loyal, people that he could trust. Not everyone, but they were there, and that pleased him. Temari frowned. Who are they hiring? Trying, Gaara said. They're trying to hire a mercenary group called the Akatsuki. I have been told it's a group of Eastern criminals. Nothing more about them exists. We will try to gain more information. I have sent a message to Konoha to see if they know anything else about it. What do you mean by trying? She asked. I mean they're not winning, Gaara said. It is strange. From what we know of the group, they're prepared to do anything, even if it means destroying a village. They have that power, but for some reason, they're refusing to take this mission. They wouldn't have to take on the Sand either. Because the plan was to attack me when I left the village, to visit Konoha. That is indeed strange, Temari said as she shook her head. You should be more worried about this, Gaara. What if they end up accepting the mission? It will be problematic, but I will try to survive. I don't plan on dying, said Gaara. I suppose I could find them and give them a couple of warts if they really try to come after me. You are not going to do that, said Temari. Gaara managed a tiny smile. I still have to figure out something before I head to Konoha, he said. Naruto still hasn't gone back, has he? No, said Temari, shaking her head. That's a pity, said Gaara. I was hoping that we could see him. Time skip. Meanwhile, as they were still near the border of the Earth country, Princess Koyoki has, specifically, request your service, Naruto, said Jiraiya. Oh, from a land of snow, said Naruto. Jiraiya nodded. Here's the thing about it. She's going to Uzu. Jiraiya was dead set on Naruto. He wanted to catch any slight movements, slight twitch or anything. But there was nothing. Not even a movement, not even a twitch. My ancestral home, said Naruto. Konoha must be happy about this. I get to see Uzu, and all eyes will be watching if I go back. No doubt I'll be watched to see if something happens. I can't deny I'm also interested to see your reaction of being home, Jiraiya said in a firm tone. But I want to admit this will be a good opportunity to get me into the village, to try to gather some intel. If you get inside with the princess, you will be able to see the emperor. A truly inconvenient opportunity for you, isn't it, said Naruto. You make it sound like it was planned, said Jiraiya. As Naruto turned towards Jiraiya with a smile. We don't have such people with such powers, do we, sensei, he said. Jiraiya did not like that smile. There was a bit of mysteriousness about it. It was nothing dark, just the unanswered questions about it that bothered him. She's going to arrive at the port in the frost, 3 days from today. Snow, cold, said Naruto. But what can you do when you have been requested by a princess? And this one's a real princess, perverted sensei. Jiraiya knew exactly who Naruto was referring to, but he simply shrugged. You must have made a big impression on her for her to personally request you as her guard. But of course, since I'm your sensei, I have to follow. I would be more than happy if they turn you back, said Naruto. You know, they must know who you are, and allowing you to go inside will be a dangerous task. There is that possibility, Jiraiya said, but I'm going to be a part of Princess Koyoki, personal guard, so they can't turn me away. Yes, but only if Koyoki refused to abide by the demand of stopping you from entering the village. Jiraiya frowned. That would be problematic. This was his chance of getting something from the village, to stop Oniki from the war path that he was going to lead everything down into. He had hopes. He wasn't sure what he would find in the village would please him, but he still had to find a way inside. This mission from Koyoki was convenient. Either way, she requested Naruto. The team will be him and Naruto. You will just have to make sure it doesn't come to that, Jiraiya said. Me, said Naruto. But I don't control anything, like you. I will just be another hired muscle. She requested you, kid. You must have a way with her, said Jiraiya with a grin. If you're planning anything, you have to let me in. She's not only famous, but a beautiful woman. If you want something from her, go get yourself. I ain't helping you with madness, said Naruto. Don't be like that, Naruto, said Jiraiya. I know you like older women, but still. As Naruto cut him off, that is not something I ever admitted. I don't have a preference, as long as we're able to get along, and the person is a woman and not a child. I do not have any complaints. Jiraiya brushed those words aside. Will you make sure that she stand by me? It is important I get information on Uzu before Oniki tries to make a move. Are you going with me? Naruto asked. Frost, Jiraiya said. We will meet in the Wave Country. I trust that you can protect the princess along the way. She's a civilian. She'll be traveling in a carriage. Do you want me to carry the carriage all the way to Wave Country? Jiraiya shrugged. You can use your clones. I don't have eternal chakra, you know, said Naruto. Jiraiya snorted. You're right, he said, rather sarcastically. You can create thousands of clones without breaking a sweat. Even I can't do that. You don't get to complain about chakra at all. When you say it like that, it does sound like I'm a truly blessed shinobi, doesn't it? A little jealous, are you? When you become stronger than me, Jiraiya said. Is it still a question of when, Naruto asked? Shinobis of this generation are not strong as shinobis of your generation. Not even Jiraiya, thinking about Madara, Tobirama, people in the past, Hoshirama. The only person that might go toe-to-toe with them was Guy, and that was if he used all the 8 gates, but that was death. The past generations lived in time of war. They had to be strong to protect. They had to fight day in, day out. Right now times are peaceful, and that is why we have to fight, to make sure it stay that way. Naruto shook his head at that thought. Don't take too long, Jiraiya said a bit seriously. There are still a couple of things we need to do before heading back to Konoha, and Snavi has been calling, so we have to get a move on. Naruto merely nodded as he went on to pack his things. Meanwhile, at Konoha, just when you think things were stable, things just get bad. Oniki was a difficult person to handle, as he was trying to diminish Konoha's power, thinking just because they lost a lot of military power that they were a relic of the past. The loss, they were massive though. The Uchihas, Minato, the third, even though he was old, everything. As Oniki was trying to use that towards his advantage, saying that Konoha was no longer a threat to him. She looked up at Shikaku walk in the office as she gestured for him to sit. I have called you here because you're the Jonin commander, and I need to know the status of our elite shinobis. Shikaku looked curious, but he didn't know what to think about it. If she was asking such a question, that meant something was happening. Well, after hearing about the revival of Uzumaki, he knew that soon enough something would happen. There were so many great nations involved, just from one village rising back up. It couldn't be ignored. It isn't as good as it was in the Third War, said Shikaku. Unlike other nations, Konoha has taken a relaxed stance into training shinobis. This is due to the Third Hokage policies. We have been enjoying the peace without being cautious that war could start at any time. There had been some objections to the third policies, but he was the Hokage, and no one could defy him. But the policies left the academy being useless about teaching students anything useful in the shinobi world. The third said there was no need because there was no war. They were at peace, living peacefully. So there was no need to train young ones, like we're preparing for war. Tsunade nodded. What do you think our best option is regarding Uzu situation? Have we established connection with it? Asked Shikaku. Tsunade shook her head, but Jiraiya is going there to see a couple of things. Once we have seen, I will send someone there to broker some connection with the village. For now, we're moving slowly, because the village hasn't made contact with us either. Shikaku looked thoughtful for a moment as he nodded. He could understand Tsunade's reasons. I heard they don't allow people in. Is it going well? Team 7 took a mission to the Land of Snow a couple years ago. Naruto seemed to have made an impression with the daimyo there. This daimyo, Princess Koyoki Katsuhana, has made a special request for his services to guard her towards Uzu. I have assigned Jiraiya as well to the request. Now this was something important. He didn't know if it was a good idea to let Naruto enter Uzu, but this would see where his loyalties lie, and also for Jiraiya to get some information about the village. Isn't this a bit suspicious, he asks. Everything is suspicious, said Tsunade, but I cannot question the connection between Naruto and the princess. I have read Kakashi mission report. I assume that she is going there for the Land of Snow technology. From what Kakashi said, the Snow is a technological, advanced nation that even use chakra armors and train for transportation. Perhaps Uzu want to get this technology. But shouldn't Uzu be the one to provide for her security? Asked Shikaku. I did think about that, but what if she says she wants Naruto as her bodyguard, and they agree to it so they can let Naruto come to them instead of going after him? They have been very secretive, even though they seem to rely strongly on the Wave country. You have never seen a Uzumaki in the Wave. The leader of Wave always go to Uzu. Shikaku was silent about the whole thing for a moment. It was rather suspicious, but for now, the benefit outweighed the suspiciousness. At best, I think our best option is to do things that don't threaten Konoha's security. It isn't the hidden stone that was just involved. I know there's a lot of mystery about it, but there was other villages that were involved. If it is so and they decide to attack once again, do you think Konoha can deal with it? Tsunade bit her lip. This was a situation she wanted to avoid. Winning against a stone was a difficult task that wasn't even guaranteed. But what if another village entered the fray? Especially if Kumo get involved with their two fully transformed Jinchurikis. Tsunade had a job and she had to protect the village. Even if it meant turning a blind eye on Uzu destruction, she could not let Konoha be destroyed. Which she regretted, perhaps not. But she would be filled with so much guilt if she allowed Konoha to be destroyed, thinking that there was another chance to do something else. We wouldn't be able to deal with the danger, she said. But, said Shikaku. What do you think, Shikaku, she said. Well, if they attack and we do nothing, they might feel a bit overconfident and try to attack us as well. It's unlikely, but possible. When it happened last time, we were not told of it. We just heard about it after it happened. Yet Konoha did nothing. That is something that really worries me, said Tsunade, about how the Uzumakis will react to us trying to form a connection between them. Trying is an effort we have to take. Many people might not know that Uzu was a clan, but we still wear their symbol on our flap jacket. The Uzumakis send one of their own, and even now it is one of them that still holds the Kyuubi. Tsunade sighed her sensei. Konoha in total was just too ignorant about how valuable the Uzumakis was. Not to mention their art of sealing Shikaku nodded at that. I will work on it. Should I call the Jonins, who have teams, to you? Yes, I will deliver the message, but we must be careful that word of it does not become public knowledge. The Jonins must be sworn to keep the secret to themselves. We don't want anything that would create tension in the village and burden the young ones. Perhaps if we change things in the academy, we'll be able to weed out those that aren't fit to become shinobis. There are too many of them these days, Shikaku said. Shikamaru was going to be displeased to work harder than he would like, as he could already imagine his son's reaction towards the information. But everyone is going to have to step up their game. Meanwhile, in the land of Frost, as Naruto was by the harbor, waiting for Koyuki's ship to finally arrive. He had arrived 2 days ago and he came to sit by the dock every day, hoping that she would arrive early. But she did not. But the wave of the water calming over her was just so pleasant, so he just sat here, listening, feeling calm as a cool breeze rushed over his skin. It was still early morning as he could feel a cold breeze washing over the atmosphere. It was around that time a large ship came into view, as it came to dock with Princess Koyuki on it. She got out of the ship with a couple of people around her. Well, she was a daimyo, she needed her entourage, and she was still an actress. She needed her guards. He hoped that he didn't have to guard all of them with her. It was going to be a rather burdensome job, and Jiraiya did not say anything about these many people. Perhaps they were going to stay here and wait for her return. Princess, Naruto said with a warm smile. Koyuki smiled and held out her right hand. Naruto, the blonde, took her hand and kissed it. Her smile brightened. You've grown, she said. What live must grow. You haven't aged at all, said Naruto. I see that you're still the same charming woman as you were back then. Oh, you flatter me, she said. Perhaps, said Naruto. Are they coming in for the journey? Koyuki glanced towards her people. She shook her head. No, they're staying here. Once I got out of the ship, it was no longer their duty to protect me. They will not travel with us, but they will stay here and wait for me. As Naruto looked towards the people, they didn't look pleased with those words. But what could they do? As Naruto didn't doubt himself on protecting the princess. If things got too dangerous, he would summon the toads. Well, he hasn't been doing that lately. Well, lately he has been going out of his way to avoid summoning them. Perhaps this was why the Toad Chief had looked at him curiously the day that he faced Sasuke. Either way, you have to do it if things got too difficult. Jiraiya was fine with because of Sanin understand strength better than anyone else. Well, he didn't know everything, but still. I will protect you with my life, princess, said Naruto. I didn't expect anything else. I didn't think that you'll be coming alone, she said, but I'm not complaining. This does give me a chance to talk to you without anyone interfering. As Naruto heard the tone in her voice, Jiraiya will join us in Wave Country. He had to go to let the detour. But you should not worry about your safety, said Naruto. I'll take care of you. She nodded as she bid farewell to her people as Naruto took her things as he moved from the port. There was a carriage waiting for them by the port. As Koyuki looked at it, we're not going by land, are we? She asked. Land would be too much for her, and certainly not in that small thing. There wouldn't be enough room. Where was she gonna bath? He didn't expect her to sit on that thing for so long, and then relieve herself behind a bush, did he? We are, said Naruto. I think you're gonna enjoy it. My clones will carry the carriage, and I'll be riding with you. We will camp out in the forest, eat fish, and you will bath when you find a stream of water. It will be fun. It will be like the Shinobi experience. Koyuki frowned. If there had been a route, I would have gone around the Lightning Country and head straight towards Uzo or Wave. Naturally, I care about all of that, said Naruto. But that is what official records will show. I have already arranged for something along the other side of the country. However, you must know the journey might be troublesome. In what way, she asked. The sea on that other side is filled with pirates. We might encounter them along the way, and I'll have to fight them. There might be some discomfort for now, but until then we'll have to use that to travel to the other side of the country. Koyuki was silent for a couple of moments before she nodded. For a moment I thought you were serious about traveling inland, she said. My sensei seemed to expect me to take the route because it's the safest. But we can change things. You'll be more comfortable. But you just said there might be some discomfort, she asked. I misspoke, he said with a small smile. Come on. I don't want someone stealing our ride. He sealed away her things and stored scroll as he walked her towards the small carriage as he created clones. Once he was done, he stepped inside as well as he started to move. It's comfortable in here, Koyuki said as she entered. The seats were soft and didn't hurt her butt, and there was enough room to move her legs. He could even sit across from her, but she didn't want that. Please sit next to me, she said. I don't want you so far. He did not question it, he merely sit to her side. As he relaxed, it was comforting. You're comfortable, said Koyuki. Any reason I should be? It would be more fun for me if you acted a bit nervous, she said. Perhaps a couple of years ago, he said, but I have overgrown that. Admittedly though, you do have a certain presence about you. I want to hear more about that, but for now, I really need to take a nap, she said, with a small yawn. Naruto blinked. He didn't realize that she wanted to sleep, because they didn't look that. What was he thinking? She was an actress. Putting on masks was easy for her. Are you sure you want to sleep, he said. I could do things to you. His face was straight when he said that. She giggled in thought, as her body fell over his. I trust you won't, but if you want to do something, you just have to act, she said. Trust. What a strong word to use. After all, shinobis were not to be trusted. He did nothing to disturb her from her nap. He too closed his eyes. He could take a nap. He rarely took them during the day, but this was convenient. If anything happens, he will be awoken, as he forced his mind into obliviousness and fall asleep. Later that day, their boat was speeding through the vast waters. The sight was a bit frightening. They were surrounded by water, and if something happened, they would sink to their deaths. Naruto was a shinobi, but what could he do against the forces of nature? Koyuki did not spend her time thinking about it, because it would make her rather uncomfortable in the whole journey. And right now it was just her and Naruto. There was no time to have such thoughts. The blonde was sitting by himself, his clothes, navigating the boat. He had a bottle of alcohol. An expression was on his face that she never saw before. It was strange. He projected himself as a happy person sometimes, but with the bottle beside him, he looked miserable. She sat beside the blonde, who glanced at her for a moment before staring at the space in front of him. You looked at peace a moment ago, enjoying the sea air and everything that came with this place, she said to him, as he seemed to ponder over that for a moment. I sometimes enjoy a good view of nature, and when the wind blows like this, it filled my senses with all kind of feelings that make me want to enjoy it. As he gave off a small smile. If you become attuned to nature, you get to feel its mood, he said. Something like that. Koyuki stared into the clear sky. It was probably gonna get dark soon. I could never be in tune with nature. I'm too blissful to its mood. What I see is what I believe, she said. Well, you're a shinobi, you train in such things. As she took the bottle away from him, as she sipped it. That's nice, she said. Strong. I think I was drinking when you guys came to get me. Naruto nodded, yes. Alone in a bar, he said with a chuckle. Something amusing, she asked. He shook his head. I just remember something. It has been a long journey, he said. Yeah, said Koyuki, thinking about our own past. When did you start to drink, she asked. I don't know, he said. One day my sensei invited me over to a bar, and I was drinking. I had a couple, and when my mind felt loose, I felt that there was nothing holding me back. No anger, no hatred, no burden. I felt free. That is dangerous, you know, she said. You can't allow yourself to be drunk to experience freedom. You're still young. If you get into it, you'll have difficulty trying to break free. As she was holding on to the bottle. No more drinking for you. Are you my boss now, he asked. Yes, I did hire you after all. What kind of guard are you anyway? How do you drink on the duty? Naruto smiled. It's unprofessional. Despite what I said, I don't get drunk that often. Over the past year, you can count the time I've been drunk, and that's been maybe 3 times. There are days I set myself up just for drinking. The last time I got drunk, I just did it because the people I were with, they were drunk as well. Koyuki looked at him thoughtfully. What makes you so miserable, Naruto, she asked. The past, he said. I was also injured by my past, but I chose to run away from it back then, she said. That was why, but I'm not running away from my past, he said. I have stared into its hateful eyes. I fought with it. Sometimes it knocked me out. But because it has been filled with injustice, I cannot let it go. I want to wear it over my shoulders and express the injustice of those that are responsible for it. What happens if you don't, she asks. If I let it go, I won't be miserable, I'll be free. But nothing changes, Koyuki. This is why I've resolved myself to carry it. But it's been difficult on you, she said. Naruto nodded. I've had time to think about things clearly. Thinking and thinking is what signifies my whole life. I have thought of many things, being happy, being miserable, the regrets. If I choose to walk the wrong path, things are always changing in this world, she said. Nothing ever remains the same. You will change. But I think I've reached a point where I can't change anymore. I have accepted my rules, my job, my path. Changing means avoiding it all and switching things. But I don't want to avoid or abandon my people. So right now I'm content with things the way they are, she said. If you change, she asked, what do you think your change will do? How will it affect the people around you? Naruto smiled. He looked at her a bit fondly. Princess, you have truly become a different person, he said. You were a miserable person when we first met. Look at you now. She smiled. It comes with the job, she said. Time skip. Hidden wave. You have a strange look on you, Jiraiya said, watching the blonde stand emotionlessly. When did you arrive, Sensei? Naruto asked. Not too long ago. Where's our friend? Resting. She didn't get much sleep along the way. As Naruto placed his hand in his pocket as he started to walk, this had been his training ground when they arrived towards the wave. A place where he met Haku, that delightful soul, who was such innocence. It had made him reflect on himself back then. Perhaps it suited Haku, given his bloodline. White was a symbol of purity. But he contained a Biju. The Ninetales. The Biju that was known for his malice and hatred. I hope that wasn't your fault, Jiraiya said in a sly tone, hearing that the princess was resting because she didn't get much sleep. As Naruto glanced toward Jiraiya, who was now walking beside him. It is a journey, he said. You are truly strong when you fight to protect someone. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. Someone told me that while I was here. It is indeed the truth, Jiraiya said. We have to go now. Time is really on your side. We have things to do, and another training that you must do. What training? Naruto asked. I will tell you after the mission, said Jiraiya. Naruto did not question the man as they simply walked through the streets of the Hidden Wave. It had truly changed since the last time they came to the mission. When they arrived at the hotel that Koyuki was at, they found her sitting on a couch. I was wondering where you had run off to, Naruto, she said, as she glanced beside him. Jiraiya-sama, she said without a smile. Jiraiya smiled. Princess Koyuki, you look as beautiful as always. She chose to ignore his compliment. Are we going now? I took the liberty of preparing everything. You know the people in Uzo are waiting for me, and I'd rather not let them wait for me, she said. We're going to depart now, said Naruto as he walked over and took her things. I assume that you two have some history. Well, given his skills, it wouldn't be surprising. I wouldn't call it a history, said Koyuki. But we did meet once, she said as she got to her feet. I thought your sensei was someone else, not him. You had Kakashi with you the last time. What changed? He was relegated, said Naruto as he looked around, to make sure he did not miss anything. I hope I don't have to say this, but I really hope that you behave, Sensei. To not get us in trouble with the people of Uzo. You know I'm not a child, right? And I should be the one telling you to behave, said Jiraiya. You really have no respect for your sensei. Well, there isn't much worth respecting, pervert sensei. You're calling me that in front of her? Jiraiya said, shocked. It is the truth, and if you've met her before, she knows that you're a pervert, right? Jiraiya grumbled as Koike laughed. You two seem to get along just fine, she said. Well, he is my sensei, said Naruto. Why are you putting like that? Who knows, said Naruto. As they start to walk, as Naruto helped Koike onto the ship and brought her towards her quarters. As both him and Jiraiya stood on the deck, I couldn't get a damn thing about those people in the wave. Not even the merchants know anything. Not a chance in hell we find out about who the leader is, or what he even looked like. This emperor. You are the spy master. Work harder. You're not helping. I didn't think I had to help, said Naruto. Jiraiya sighed. I can't get caught, he said. If I do, I don't think they will do anything about it. I hope they don't think that she is bringing spies inside their village, said Naruto. That is something I have to consider while moving, said Jiraiya. But I can't. Simply let this chance pass. Even if it means I getting banned from that village. I have to make sure nothing starts with the hidden stone. Naruto said nothing. Time skip at Uzo. Jiraiya's eyes were sharp, as he didn't want to miss a single thing. The first thing he noticed, there was no way to enter the village with all the whirlpools twirling around. They were stopped before their ship passed. It made him realize that some of the whirlpools are man-made. Yes, because they just came to a sudden stop as their ship passed through. Must the work of Fuinjutsu. There was 4 large ships by the small seaboard, but there was only one person standing there. The man who was waiting for them was just a civilian. He led them through a narrow way, surrounded by trees. After walking for a while, they reached 2 large gates that were closed. The man told them he was stopping there as he moved away. One of the gates then opened up as the 3 entered the village. It was a completely different atmosphere. There were people around. Tall buildings in the village. The buildings did not use wood like what they used in Hidden Leaf. There was a stream of water that went through the heart of the village. Jiraiya saw ruins over to the side. Perhaps they had been left there as a reminder of what was done to them. What was surprising though, the village was a bit bigger than he thought, and that kind of worried him. The people seemed different. Jiraiya concluded that these were people from different lands. Everything looked normal. He couldn't see a single shinobi, and he didn't see a single red here. But as they moved deeper in the village, he started to see them. The Uzumakis. He glanced towards Naruto to find some kind of reaction, but there was none from the boy. It was then that another person took over, escorting them. Haku smiled at the guests. Princess Koyoki, it's a pleasure to see you again. Jiraiya-sama. He then turned to Naruto. Hello Naruto, it's good to see you again. I was actually happy when I was told that you'll be coming here. You know each other, Jiraiya asked quickly. Haku nodded. I was his enemy. On their first mission, also had to leave. Please follow me. I'll lead you to the hotel. Jiraiya took the chance to walk beside Haku to ask some questions. Although he could see right here, there wasn't many of them. Well, this was what destruction did. Perhaps if they weren't destroyed, they would have been running through the streets, looking all energetic like Kushina had. I don't see a lot of Uzumaki around. These are just a handful of survivors from the invasion, said Haku. But even before, the village wasn't full of Uzumaki people. There were other people around. You are not from here, are you? Haku glanced towards him with a smile. Jiraiya-sama, we know about you. To be honest, it was a debate whether or not to let you into the village. We assume that you will behave, given that you're here on a mission. And we would like you to behave. We cannot allow you to walk around the village without anyone accompany you. If possible, we would like you to stay by Princess Koyuki's side. Jiraiya frowned. You're not even going to let us take a tour around the village. Haku shook his head. No. You are not here for a tour, are you? But we would, however, offer one to Naruto. Special treatment, said Jiraiya with narrowed eyes. You could call it that, but it's a fact he's a Uzumaki. They're treated with precious commodity in here. You say that, but you haven't made a move on him yet, said Jiraiya. Well, that should be simple to understand. He's a shinobi of the hidden leaf. Any movement towards him wouldn't be welcome. It is something else since he's a Jinchuriki. The leaders doubt that Konoha wouldn't be willing to part with the Kyuubi. It will also cause trouble, everyone knew that. If anyone finds out that Uso had the Kyuubi, they will all turn their attention to try and destroy it. Haku said nothing more as he led them towards the hotel. Before departing, they were all booked in different rooms. Koyuki was in the center, the two of them on her right and left. Jiraiya made his way as he knocked on Naruto's door. He entered to see Naruto lying flat on his back. For once he wasn't sitting by the window, he was just lying on the bed, looking up at the ceiling. Tell me about that Haku. There's nothing much to tell. The last time I saw him he was dead, and he was the holder of the bloodline as released. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at that. Dead? He saw the guy, he didn't look that dead. But yet you didn't seem that surprised that he was alive, said Jiraiya. When have you ever seen me give any funny reaction, said Naruto. And I had other things to think about than give a funny reaction. This world always make the impossible possible. I forgot that you walked into the land that your mother was born into. When are you going to take the tour, Jiraiya asked. I haven't thought of it, said Naruto with a slight shrug. Take it tomorrow. You might be able to move freely, given that you're Uzumaki, and they're offering it to you. I will head out later on, you can watch a princess. I plan to do so, said Naruto. It's gonna get dark soon, for now. I will take a nap when I wake up. I will entertain the princess. As Naruto simply lay there. Later that night, Ozu looked like he didn't have any shinobis, but at night you could see them, you could feel them. Jiraiya saw one place though that didn't look secure. It was the Emperor compound. There was no guards, no security there. Jiraiya had to be incredibly cautious. He had been cautious about asking questions because he knew the moment he started to ask questions out of the way, people were going to get suspicious and want to know. He climbed the wall that took him over to the compound. The moment he did, he felt something strange. His instincts were telling him that he was in a dangerous place. He took a single step as someone flashed in front of him. He frowned. He was caught? There was only one person. If he managed to disable her, he could still try something. He was forced to take a step back when a wall of crystal formed around him. Gorin smiled, seeing the sound in a fighting stance. He was rather powerful. She'd rather not fight him. That aside, fighting him was pointless since she was going to end up torturing him or cutting off his head. Jiraiya-san, I believe that you were warned about walking without someone to guide you. I could not find the guide, Jiraiya said. His guard still up. I do not plan on fighting you, Gorin said. Do you know where you are? The Emperor's compound, Jiraiya said. Gorin nodded. You are not allowed to enter unless given permission by the Emperor. It is a rule in his village, and the people respect it. And you are not one of us. We usually don't forgive rats. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. Usually? Well, you're a special case, and we don't want to end up having any problems with Konoha. But since you can't be just to follow the village rules, we will escort you out early in the morning. Now, please allow me to take you back to your room, where you will not leave for the rest of the night. And if I refuse, well, I've heard it a couple of times. Do you want to find out? She asked. Jiraiya knew that he could handle her, but there was something off. Something just really off around here. He didn't know what it was. He bent down to the ground as he placed his hand on the ground as he channeled his chakra. It was instantly absorbed. So this is how you found that I was here, he said, as he looked towards Gorin. There's a massive barrier that shocked chakra and absorbed it as well. I guess for me with foreign chakra, I can't use ninjutsu in this place. Are you going to allow me to escort you, she said, not answering his question. How is this going to affect things, Jiraiya asked. It depends on your reason. We don't think you're a bad person, but you just cannot. Follow rules. Tell us, what is your reason, Jiraiya-san? Jiraiya considers options before speaking. The stone want to determine whether you're an enemy or not. They said if they discover this village is an enemy, they're going to destroy it. When I told him that Konoha wouldn't stand for it, he said it was fine. I'm concerned about what he will do. I thought if I found something I could give something to him, to calm him. Why couldn't you just ask? Well, Jiraiya said, as he really couldn't say. You still need to leave tomorrow. But if Konoha acts nicely, we may respond. She snapped her finger as the crystal disappeared. Shall we? Jiraiya frowned. You're also a bloodline holder, are you? You are a spy, alright? But please, Jiraiya, do not try to leave your room this time, she said. We will know, and we won't be pleased about it. We will be forced to make you leave at this time in the sea. Can be rather moody at night. Meanwhile, Naruto was sure that Jiraiya was busy, trying to infiltrate the secret areas of Uzo. You know, it's not a good thing to be so busy with your thoughts when you're sitting with a beautiful lady, said Koyuki. Well, it depends, said Naruto as he glanced over to her. I might be thinking deeply about you. If you're a nervous child that is afraid to voice his thoughts, I can understand that. But you're not a nervous child, are you, she said. Naruto smiled. Who knows, he said. She changed the topic. There's no place like home. Even while acting out there, I always felt something, this connection, and when I did return home, the feeling was just bliss. There's no better feeling than helping your people as the daimyo that you are, said Naruto. And as you said, there's no better place like home. Well, being daimyo is a troublesome job, she said. And as I think about it, I'll probably be daimyo for the rest of my life. Daimyos aren't chosen like Kages. You will probably be replaced by your heir, said Naruto. I'm not married yet, she said. The people there are trying to force me to marry with prince from other nations just so I can have their heir. They will be more than happy if I quit my job after producing a successor. Well, you're the only one in your family, so you have to do something, said Naruto. Say, Naruto, she said. If you have a good standing when you reach that age, would you promise to marry me? As Naruto looked at her, waiting to see if she was serious or not, but she didn't say that she was joking. You want me to get killed by your fanboys, he asked. I doubt they will succeed. Most of them just want money and fame. Those who just like me are just not worth it. What of me then, he asked. You will be at your home and I will be at my home. It will be convenient. But we will have to talk about the other issues, she said. You mean issues of the bed, he asked. You are not so innocent as I thought, she said. But you're not innocent either, are you, dear, said Naruto. Before she could say anything, there was a knock. As Naruto called for the person to enter, Gorin walked inside as she looked between the two of them. Sorry to disturb you at such time, but we have caught one of your guards in the Emperor's compound. He has disobeyed the rules, and we cannot allow him to do it again. He will be escorted away tomorrow morning. He will be returned to the wave. I called it, said Naruto with a smile. I guess you owe me 1,000 Ryu, princess. I'm not paying that. You had inside knowledge, said Koyuki. Excuse me, said Gorin. Don't worry about it, I can understand, said Koyuki. I'll be fine, my meeting is still scheduled tomorrow at 10, correct? I'm not certain about that. I will have to inquire and report back to you. Koyuki shook her head. No need. Thank you for the warning. I will have a word with Jiraiya-sama, she said. As Gorin turned to leave, she glanced towards Naruto. As she was about to say something, but he smiled at her as she left without saying a single word. But guys, it'll be in episode right here. If you want the next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, stay tuned for the rest of the what ifs coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.